Well, we told you that we'll be bringing you some great conversations, and today we have a former roads minister, but currently the member of parliament for Tamale Central. He's also a legal practitioner. He'll be going back to his firm. I'm saying this because he didn't pick up the form to contest the primaries of the NDC. Inusa Fuseni is our guest this morning. Inusa Fuseni. Good morning.
That's the name, Inusa.
Inusa. Can I call you Inusa?
Inusa, yeah.
That's great.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Okay. And I've known you for a long time.
Yes,
for a number of years now. Because you've been in Parliament. This is your...
My 13th year.
Your 13th year.
Yes.
So you're going for your
14 and a half or about 15 years.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's okay.
It's
okay.
And so that's the reason why you didn't pick up the...
That's the reason. That's largely the reason why I didn't pick up. I just thought that I should give myself a break. Yeah.
We have a strong focus on the primaries of not only the NDC, but also, of course, the MPP that will be coming up. But we have a whole package we do on DAX program, or latter day program. For our news day, we call it Stronghold. And we're focusing on the primaries, etc. Who are the individuals who have picked up the nomination forms or contesting in your constituency, in your place?
Well, my place is standing up to be very interesting. The former member of parliament for Nantong, Mutala Mohammed, has picked up the form. Is vigorously campaigning. The former mayor of the Tamil metropolis, Anan Godado, very active and vibrant and wanting to succeed me. The Alasan Adam, who is a banker who contested me in 2016, has come back wanting to perfect or right whatever wrongs he had committed in not being able to unseat me in 2016. Is also very active on the ground. Yes.
It promises to be interesting.
Very interesting.
I followed the primaries. I went back, looked into a primary, and you seem to have gotten some good votes.
Yes.
Against Al Hassan the last time.
Yes, I've always believed that the people of Tamil Central have been largely very good to me. They have believed in me. They've offered me the necessary support to be able to deliver in Parliament as a member of Parliament. They've advised me where they need be to chart a certain path in my political life as a politician, and I think that I'm eternally grateful to them.
But largely across the country, the NDC being in opposition, just having been the party in government, that also meant that because you have your flag bearer in the person of the former president, he's been crisscrossing the country and been making speeches and talking to people. Do you think the state of his interactions means that he started the campaign in earnest? No,
he's picking up. The campaign is picking up. It's not, he's not made too many policy statements. He's trying to bring back the shine on his administration and the things that he felt we did, and which things were not very much appreciated, the things that we will do differently when given the opportunity. And he's picking up, he's making statements, and I mean, the more pronounced statement that he made that attracted the attention of government was when he said, look, luxury tax. He said, no, and they say, I mean, when given the opportunity, I will reverse it, I will remove it. And that immediately caught the attention of government, which hitherto had said that they were not going to remove it, they needed the money. And then immediately he made a statement, they got to speak into the vehicle owners and then the car dealers, and that tax is gone. And so, yes, he's been making statements. We've looked at the possibility of how do we review the free senior high school policy when we come into office. One of the serious difficulties in implementing the free senior high school education under the MPP is that when they conceive the policy, they never conceive the funding regime. And so they are grabbing funding monies from the kitty, I mean, from wherever source they can. And that is exerting some impact on their ability to deliver on other critical infrastructure for the country. And so NDC will want to see what will be the most sustainable basis for continuing with the free senior high school. I mean, the policy, the unintended consequences of the policy is to exclude the private sector in delivering secondary education as hitherto, I mean, provided. In the past, the private schools played a very critical and important role in delivering secondary education. Now, because of the decision not to institute a cutoff point for entry into public schools. The private schools have been robbed of the opportunity to continue to train and exist in the market and deal with that segment of the market that was not initially catered for under the public sector. And so how do we ensure that in view of the double track system and the fact that the classrooms are congested and many students are having to sleep in overcrowded boarding houses, how do you ensure that we bring on board the private sector to continue to deliver that education, albeit within acceptable cost? I mean, these are things that the NDC is looking at.
One of the most contentious issues, very recently, the president went to commission the WA, is it the WA?
Hospital, regional hospital.
Okay, so yeah. The WA regional.
President Nana Addo Dankwa-Akufo-Addo. Yes.
Yes, and there was a contention about who may have started the whole idea. And then also we've had some rebuttals coming from the camp of the NDC. What's, when you observe all that banter, or all that interaction, the back and forth, what was your own observation and position on the subject?
My own observation and concern and worry has been the over-politicization of developments in this country, and the crave for personal glory at the expense of the national development of the country. Now, it appears to me that at any point in time, succeeding governments try to rubbish whatever the previous government did and try to initiate their own projects. And where they are incapable of initiating their own projects, they try to devise excuses and explanations why that project cannot be conceived as the initiative of a previous government. And this is the thing that is bedeviling. I mean, this is our lot in this country, and that is frustrating, militating against the development of the country. For instance, in the WA Regional Hospital, I remember clearly in 2012 when the project was conceived, and then the President John Dramani Mahama has said that the NDC was going to build a regional hospital in WA. After some time, MPP actors went to the field and started walking around the area that was said to be the designed or designated for the building of the WA regional hospital. And they published in numerous newspapers that the promise to build the regional hospital in WA was not taking place. And they were working at the site of the regional hospital. Now, we are being told that, oh no, that was not built by the NDC at all, or NDC even did not pay for the contractors for the work done. And so, why did it have to come to that? Now, if government says it's starting a project, what government expects is a critical review of the project, a critical assessment of the project and its impact on the welfare of the people, and then support. So, if government or opposition party fails to support, refuses to support, closes its eyes to the development that is taking place, it becomes difficult for that party to turn around and say, well, I think that the previous government did something. That is why, up to now, Terminal 3, we can't commission it. That is why Afale Hospital, we cannot go there. The second military hospital being built in Kumasi, in the Ashanti region, we can't go there. That is why many other development projects were stopped. The road infrastructure was stopped. 3 years down the line, we are bringing back the same infrastructure that was being undertaken by the previous government. Why did they stop it? They stopped it because they wanted to start their own. Now, never mind the cost implications to this country. And that is what is bedeviling this country. I mean, yes, and I always refer to the famous quote of Atamels, who said that you can't hope to develop as a country if you continuously dismantle what your predecessor did to build the same thing. It will be like the crab philosophy, where we pull in each other down to be able to go up. No. And that is exactly what this government started doing when it came into office. Rubbish, condemned, poo-pooed everything that the NDC was doing. And that is the difficulty they are in now.
What's the party's former position on who really procured funding for the WA hospital?
Well, the NDC through the Irojet project. The NDC did. The NDC was responsible. I mean, we came to the conclusion as a party that it was important to take the health of the people very seriously, and that in areas where we had regional hospitals that were not up to standard, up to scratch, like the Tamil Regional Hospital, that there was a need to look for money to be able to expand the existing facility. Where there was a need to build a new regional hospital with this so. And this was across the country. We even piloted the project of building district hospitals. We so did it in such a way that we aggregated communities and made sure that access to those regional hospitals was guaranteed. Okay, and so and that is why His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, in going around the country, has promised to continue with the building of regional hospitals when given the mandate in the new regions, because we think that the health of the people is as important as their material wealth. Okay, or health actually is wealth.
But moving on, we've had other related matters. This morning, dominating the front pages has been the subject of illegal miners facing stiffer punishment. And we know that there's been an amendment to the 1993 Minerals Act, and that 2019 Amendment Act subsequently will mean that the jail terms on the minimal level will move from 15 to the maximum of 25. That's the way we have to go, is that not it?
Well,
because the president has started an initiative, of course, that was continued for.
Well, I do not have a difficulty in trying to stiffen punishment for social ills that are refusing to go. Small-scale mining is a social phenomenon. In the past, people engaged in small-scale mining, but they didn't engage in it with the wanton and careless abandon that now characterizes small-scale mining. Now
it was worse in your time. You were the minister responsible.
I'm just giving the historical perspective of small-scale mining. I mean, Galamsey did not start yesterday. Galamsey, gather them and sell is the proper phrase. But because our people were mostly illiterate, they called it Galamsey. They had it Galamsey.
So that's a balance we got out of.
So gather the gold in ravines, in water bodies, in rivers, where after the rain had fallen, gather the nuggets and sell. That's Galamsey. So it was a pickaxe shovel type of activity. I mean, people used to go to the river bodies with baskets and trap nuggets of gold. I mean, gold has receded. Now, people have come in with greed and avarice and destroying our environment. I mean, polluting our water bodies. I mean, posing security threats in the communities where, with rocks, with gold-bearing rocks. That we cannot continue to allow that activity to go on. In the past, it involved running battles with the military under the Rawlings regime, the military regime. There were random battles between the military and government in trying to control this menace until in 1993, when it suddenly dawned on government and the people of this country that small-scale mining could offer important employment opportunities for the people of Ghana. So they need to regulate small-scale mining. They need to regulate Galamsey. Now, that gave birth to the PMMC, the Precious Minerals Marketing Company. Why? Because hitherto, the regime did not allow the trading of gold within country. So the big gold firms who were exploiting our gold resource were taking the exploited resource outside the country for refining. And so you didn't have a body, an institution that could buy gold for small-scale mining. So we set up the PMMC. Now, with that, we brought in regulation. And like I said, small-scale mining became the exclusive preserve. It was conceived as the exclusive preserve of the Ghanaian, because government has a responsibility to provide jobs for Ghanaians, not for any other national. And so we limited that activities to Ghanaians. And that's why it became an offense for a foreigner to engage in small-scale mining. Initially, having promulgated a law that reserved small-scale mining for Ghanaians and provided a framework for the Mineral Commission and the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, then Land and Forestry, to license small-scale miners. So we thought that was enough. Until we started experiencing the inflows of foreigners into the small-scale mining sector, largely by reason of the fact that our people, our Ghanaian comrades, counterparts, colleagues, could not get or did not have the resources to bring in the equipment that would enable them exploit the 25-acre plots that were given them. So they brought in foreigners, and the foreigners initially stayed off and gave the equipment.
And now they are in.
They are in because...
With this amendment of the law, are we going to be as biting as we should? Because we've had now the president formally institutionalizing the fight against galamsey with the setting up of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. And since then, they've been doing some tremendous work, we have to say. Will this then be the icing on the cake, making sure that we get to the root cause of it and try to deter people? Already the president has said that he doesn't seem to think that the judiciary or some sections of the judiciary are cooperating as they should.
Well, with that statement, I vehemently disagree with the president. Vehemently. I mean that's a max attack on the judiciary. And
why is that?
Why? The judiciary don't go to arrest people to prosecute. They don't. They sit in court. I mean, charges are preferred against people who are involved in small-scale mining, contrary to the laws of the land. And the judiciary are just impartial arbiters. And so, when the charges are preferred, they try the case based on the charges preferred. The judiciary have no rights, no capacity, no authority to impose charges on small-scale miners who are brought before them. Now, and that is why we have division of or separation of powers. So it is government that prosecutes the case. I've heard the president make a ludicrous statement like when the small-scale miners are brought to court and they are granted bail, they escape, they disappear. I mean, the president is not suggesting. So
you disagree with the president on
seriously on attacking the judiciary?
You're a lawyer.
Because
if you see a posture of a certain judge not being amenable, not being that posturing, not being conducive to a certain policy direction a country has taken on a related case, you would know. Well, you're a lawyer of great repute and experience.
Well, you see, that is why the judiciary itself is a self-correcting institution. So you have layers. So if you see a judge who is not applying the law as it should be, and applies a law that clearly is not satisfactory to the prosecutor, in this case the Attorney General, he appeals a decision. He appeals against the decision of the judge.
So you do agree that there could be unsatisfactory application and posture in a related application of the law?
In the adversarial system that we practice.
So it doesn't preclude the president from not making a gesturing comment on the subject?
No, it doesn't preclude the president.
He's the president of the land. What he said, there was nothing wrong with it.
The president has no jurisdiction and authority over the judiciary.
No, we all do know that. The separation of powers as institutionalized in the Constitution.
So the fact that his president has not given unfettered power to talk down on the judiciary.
He's never talked down on the judiciary.
Well, you didn't read the comments?
What he said, and we can play back the comments.
Yes.
What he said. Perhaps if we can get the president's comments on the judiciary. Yeah. What he said was that there are some.
No, these are your words. I listened to him as well.
Yeah, true. We'll get him and we'll
He didn't say some.
He just condemns
the wholesale condemnation of the judiciary.
Let's watch it. I think that's unfair to the president.
It's not unfair. The president is unfair to have spoken that way to the judiciary.
It was brought to me yesterday for my assent, so it is now law. But the Parliament has amended the mining law and heightened considerably the penalties for those engaged in illegal mining in the so-called galamsey. We're talking about minimum sentences of 15 years, maximum 25 years. We have increased the punishment for foreigners who intervene illegally in this industry. we've had to take away some of the discretion of the judges. Yeah, largely because, Madam, with the greatest of respect, they're not cooperating on these matters. Yes, people are caught, flagrant acts, they're taken to court, granted bail. And then at the end of the day, they disappear, etc. A lot of these Chinese people who are caught, they've been brought to court, they're granted bail, we don't hear of them again, only to hear that they have resurfaced in the country. So we felt it was important to to take away the discretion in the judges. It's unfortunate that that should be so, because all of us should be able to trust the judges also to do their bit in stamping out crime and its consequences in our society. But that doesn't turn out to be the case. So this is another important step that we...
It's not as if we're discussing the judiciary.
No, so it's just pure talking down the judiciary, pure and simple. Look, he says that the judiciary were expected to do their bit. What is their bit? Go to the mining fields and arrest the small-scale miners? Is that what you're suggesting? And who, I mean, when the judiciary admits somebody to bail, who pulls the bail? The judiciary. Is it not the responsibility of the prosecutor to ensure that those who post bail bring back the people who they have posted bail for? Is it the judiciary? What did the president expect? That
the president is an experienced lawyer. You don't assume that he's oblivious of all these that you're saying.
He's a human rights lawyer. That's why I'm scandalized. That's why I'm scandalized. That it seems to be putting the blame squarely on the judiciary for no wrong done. For no wrong. Tell me, how can the judiciary go to the fields and arrest small-scale miners? How can the judiciary post bail? And if they grant bail and bail is posted, how can they refuse that? Is it not an egregious violation of the fundamental rights of persons not to be granted bail? Or is it saying that when people are arrested, the judiciary should not try to just condemn them to jail terms? Is that, I mean, is small-scale mining a strict liability offense? Is that what the president is saying? That just like when you drive through the red lights, you're fined. I mean, because strict liability, you drove through the red lights. No, so no.
You seem to be on a tangent of not even crediting the president and his administration for some of the positive things they've done.
What have they done?
Oh, they've set up a committee.
Well, set up a committee is what?
At the end of the day, if you take a look at the work that has been done by, Vanguard.
What have they done?
And subsequently trying to rid many of the communities of these illegal miners, albeit with some difficulties. That's a good mark.
Well, you say there is always a distance, a gap between lofty promises.
This is not a promise, it's on the ground.
Laudable objectives and the implementation of those promises and objectives. There's always a gap. And to assess and appreciate the work of government towards curtailing small-scale mining, you should look at bridging the gap. Now, we have had accusations against even this interministerial committee on small-scale mining. In fact, information I gather as a former minister of lands and natural resources is that, look, small-scale mining, at the time that the Operation Vanguard was serious, engaged in small-scale mining, there were people who were still doing small-scale mining at the notice of Operation Vanguard. There were people, and the information was available to the government. It was available. And you have since seen...
Who gave you that information?
Who gave me that information? Small-scale miners who were small-scale miners at the time I was Minister for Lands and Natural Resources are still small-scale miners. Those small-scale miners were the small-scale miners who had been told to stop work, who had obtained licenses from the Minerals Commission and had been treated as if they were illegal small-scale miners. And while they were told to stop work, those who even didn't have licenses had opportunity to mine.
Is it that you are poo-pooing everything that the president has done?
Clearly, I'm not poo-pooing. I'm saying that there's now the evidence is out there. Clearly, we have since known that if you wanted to mine without even getting a license, you could do so. You could do so. And that has made that abundantly clear to you, unless you are refusing to see the work and appreciate the work and ask them. It's made it abundantly clear that while we had all this institution called Interministerial Committee on Small-Scale Mining and we had Operation Vanguard, some people were still engaged in small-scale mining, illegal small-scale mining. And that the inequity of the situation, the injustice of the matter was that.
Well, you were minister at the time, Lance Forestry. You couldn't clamp down on the activity as well. This far better.
Well, I couldn't clamp down. I think that you're not in Ghana.
Well, I was.
Okay.
I was, and I've been, and I've heard many commentary that you've made on the subject.
Yes. Well, I'm not saying that I totally succeeded because there's small-scale mining.
Great.
Yes,
so you concede?
No, I'm not saying that I totally succeeded.
So it shows that I'm in Ghana. you concede?
No. You said I couldn't clamp down. I'm not saying that I did. The government did. In fact, small-scale mining didn't come. The fight against small-scale mining didn't come to NDC as an afterthought, as it came to these people, to the MPP.
But
it came as an afterthought.
That's unfair.
No,
that's unfair to the president and his government for a policy mining direction for which we've had an institutionalized
mining under the MPP came to them as an afterthought, because they had made statements to the fact that they were going to regularize small-scale mining. Look, in the NDC manifesto of 2012, 2016, there was an entry in the manifesto that dealt with small-scale mining. Point to me, when we leave here, take the MPP manifesto of 2017 to now, and point to me where in the MPP manifesto did you have a promise to the people of Ghana?
You're not saying that if something is not in the manifesto, it cannot be implemented.
That's why I said it's an afterthought.
I see. But the amendment to the terms of imprisonment.
Well, the amendment, I've said that nobody has. I mean, if the president had said, look, we have amended the law, and we're making the punishment for people engaged in illegal small-scale mining stiffer, I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. But I have every problem with the statement that the judges are responsible, are not putting in their best in the fight against small. I mean, it's trying to shift blame to the judges. And I don't think that is the right thing to do as the president of the country.
What has been topical since Friday has been the decision of the Bank of Ghana to revoke the licenses of some 23 savings and loans companies. And since then, we've had a receiver appointed, and subsequently they've been working based on what the experiences have been with the microfinance companies and before then the normal commercial banks.
Well, we've seen that, we've seen the devastating and catastrophic consequences of the cleanup.
How do you mean by devastating and catastrophic?
Well, you just played some clips of people who were complaining that they were not receiving their deposits from the small scale, the microfinance institutions. Banks have not been able to honor some of their the deposits of the claim for or request for deposits for their clients. As we speak, about 9 banks have gone under, and about 347 microfinance institutions also gone under. The government says it's cleaning up. I have difficulty with the approach. I think that cleaning up the banking sector is needed, but the approach is what I have difficulty with.
Why?
Why? Because the banks cannot exist in vacuum. They have to be regulated and supervised. I mean, the overall objective of the supervision and regulation is to ensure that they comply with the laws of the country and also protect the deposits of the depositors. And so if regulation is failing, one has to look at ways of tightening regulation. In other places, what we have seen governments do is that, well, those banks that are not illiquid, but solvent, government has intervened through what is called quantitative easing, if you want stimulus, to ensure that the institution doesn't go down. Okay, but they put in place a management that will take the institution out of the waters, and so that you don't destabilize, dislocate the activities which were hitherto being supported by those institutions.
Is that not what has happened here?
No, it's not.
We've had banks consolidated.
I mean, what has happened is double jeopardy. Double jeopardy. Look, for me and you, we are contributing tremendous amounts of money to pay off the deposit of depositors. Me and you. The government is using tax money to do that. That tax money is gone. our money that we paid for other purposes is gone to the financial institutions, ostensibly to pay depositors. Now, the institutions, the financial institutions have also gone down to the extent that those they were supporting, the activities they were supporting, have also gone down. Seriously. Now, the people who were affected directly and indirectly by the existence of those financial institutions have also gone down. That's why I say it's disastrous and catastrophic. I don't think that was the best way. I agree that, I mean, the audit of the financial sector did not start today. It started even when NDC was in power. But the approach of the NDC was different. Now, we thought then that the best way to continue to encourage Ghanaian enterprises was, one, to tighten regulation and to beef up management of those banks, to ensure that the indigenous financial institutions and the efforts of Ghanaians at contributing towards the development of the economy ought to be protected and supported. And that's different from what is happening now. What is happening now is like what the World Bank, when African countries were going through restructuring, is like the shock therapy. You do A, B, C, D. We want the minimum deposit of 400 million. If you don't get it, you're out. Now, your depositors have come to complain that they want their money, but because you have invested in other sectors of the economy, and it's difficult to convert those assets into liquid cash to pay your depositors, we think you are struggling. And because you are struggling, you're off. So that is what is happening. It's just shock therapy administered to the banks. And I'm not saying that all of them were performing well. There were different stages. There were different states of their distress. And I'm saying that they should have been looked at in separate cases. Okay, take each case and look at the merits of each case and see how. Today, the unfairness of the situation again is that ADB has not met the minimum requirement, has it? Is it because it's a government bank? Is it because NIB has not met the minimum requirement? Is it because it's a government bank? That you are prepared to take money from guarantee trust to support them. And because those other private banks have no guaranteed trust to support them, they go under. Is that the justice that we're trying to implement?
But what's the justification for having guaranteed trust or GATT support?
But what is GATT? It's not our money.
Those private banks, as well as
is not our money, which is in GATT?
The two state-owned banks you're talking about.
Yes, the two state-owned banks, and even I understand Prudential Bank is going to. It has not met the minimum guarantee, but it's being supported. And the Omni Sahara Bank has not met; it's being supported.
Omni Basic.
Yeah. So why? Why do you choose and pick those to support and those not to support?
There was a justification for it.
And that was the justification. That because they are government banks or government has got shares in them?
No.
Is that what?
Because they were doing the things right.
You may tell me what's right?
They may not have met the capitalization by way of what the regulation is, but
so what right? What was doing right?
So they were doing well, going by the regulation.
Okay, so you are saying that because they are government banks and because we have interest in them, we will ensure their activities and put GATT behind them. But for the private banks, they carry their lot. Is that what we are suggesting?
If you read the Boulders report, have you read the Boulders report?
I've read aspects of it.
Okay.
I've read aspects of it. Yes, the banks there were difficulties. I'm not closing my eyes to the difficulties.
If you look at the regulations as they were, and ensuring prudence and the actions of some of the shareholders and the decisions that they took.
Well, I've said it elsewhere, that the actions of the shareholders, the actions of the auditors, both internal and external, previous to the decisions and actions of the Bank of Ghana, all need to be interrogated. Because even the actions of the managers and directors of the bank and their filing of their returns and the study of those returns by public institutions ought to be interrogated. Even the supervisory jurisdiction of the Bank of Ghana ought to be called into question, because all this while they were purported to be supervising the banks. Okay, so if you open the cupboard, you will see that there are many questions than answers. But why do you shift the blame?
So you're saying that even the referee had a problem?
Had a problem.
So if the referee has a problem, why is the referee blaming the players and not also pointing the gun at its own self?
Exactly what I'm saying. Exactly this morning's submission up to now. I'm saying that there is simply no moral right to shift blame and responsibility to somebody else.
But you do agree a decision has to be taken?
Just like the president say, I'm going to fight Galamsey, but I'm failing in my fight against Galamsey because judges are not cooperating with me.
The president has not said that.
It's morally wrong to say that. I'm saying that it's morally wrong for the Bank of Ghana, who have all these years slept on their role as being effective regulators over the financial sector, now blame the financial sector for not protecting the deposits, or misusing or misapplying or misinvesting the deposits of depositors without recourse to financial propriety and prudence. And so clearly we ought to look deeper. But I still come back to the point that I'm making, that to apply shock therapy to the financial sector the way Bank of Ghana did, in my opinion, has led us to the present state in which we are, catastrophic and disastrous. That many people are committing suicide by reason of that. Many people do not know.
What do you mean by committing suicide? Have you heard of any case, maybe either from the police or etc., that a fatality has been attributed?
You've not heard about it?
No, I've not.
Just 2 weeks ago, the chairman or the president of the Progressive Contractors Union said they've lost 22 lives by reason of government not paying. You know why?
Yes, but that has not been attributed to the collapse of the banks. He made a statement that government owed them, and those certificates had not been honored.
All actions take their color from their surroundings.
Oh, you are doing the interpretations.
Oh, the actions take their color from their surroundings.
I do understand.
Because they are heavily indebted to the banks. The banks now want to realize the Nipa and his colleague are proceeding against the banks and the assets and those they place the loans with, to take assets to be able to realize the amounts. These people, contractors, who have monies with government. Government has failed, refused, or neglected to pay them. The banks are putting pressure. How do they withstand that? They take off their lives.
That's an interpretation of the statement from the
contractors. And I'm entitled to that interpretation.
And the contractors were agitating. So any argument to enforce and make the arguments look good was what they needed to make.
Well, you think so? But that doesn't suggest that you have no sympathy towards those who have monies with the government whose monies have not been paid.
Are you speaking to me?
I'm speaking to you.
I'm not in a position of trust.
You are not
as a public officer.
So you can say what you want.
No, I can look at issues
the way you want.
No.
Yeah. In a way.
Progressively.
Okay.
There was a press conference that was convened by Nana Piamensa. You know him? Were you a customer of?
No. I had never believed in MENZGOLD.
Okay, I'm asking you these questions because we have thousands of Ghanaians who are customers.
Yes. I mean, at a point, there even was a propaganda statement that I had money with them. I have never had money. I've never believed in MENZGOLD.
I've never had.
Yeah, I saw it and I posted that, well, having seen my name, I could confirm that list was fake, because I have never believed. Let me tell you, so many months ago, I was in a certain country, Malta, with my chairman, Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee, and then a very senior public officer was considering the possibility of lodging their monies with MENZGOLD. I mean, that senior public officer should be thanking me, because I was the person who...
You dissuaded
her from doing that. She was a lady, dissuaded her from doing that, and I thought that this enterprise had questions to answer. So I could have...
What did you make of the press conference of the chief executive?
Well, the chief executive is... I don't know why he decided to engage in press conference. He's exposing himself to more trouble. You see, you have clients whose clients are calling for the payment of their monies which they lodge with you through a product that you sold to them, which we called collectible, gold collectibles. Now, somehow, when these matters came to a head, because government started looking closely into what you were doing, and so you had matters, a case lodged against you at Iyoko. Within that space of time, you had opportunity. We now understand that your engagement with Iyoko and the bail conditions did not include a ban on travel. So you traveled. And when you traveled, we had reports that you were engaged in some legal fight in Dubai. You've returned. You should be talking about how you are going to get your depositors paid or be answering to those charges.
But he's laid some conditions down.
What conditions? There are no conditions.
The conditions that government should assist him
but it's not government, it's not
for
public.
him to be able to retrieve.
But it's not a government job. Government has no interest in MENZGOLD. Government's interest is how do we protect the numerous Ghanaians who have got deposits.
Exactly.
Good. So government will go after his assets. If the money comes in this country, government will freeze it, will seize it in order to pay. What support you should be looking for from government is the support to bring in that money, because you're saying that that money is out of a private treaty, a private contract that you entered into with one company called Horizon. I mean, they are entitled to pay you.
So you're saying, because government has, as a first line of interest and responsibility, the interests of the citizens at hand.
Yes.
Government then has to make sure that the citizens who are customers who
are not harmed done by
and so government will have to take the necessary action. And make sure it retrieves.
It retrieves whatever monies that is deposited
to pay the customers.
Yes.
So even whatever will come from outside our shores, will have to be quarantined.
Yes, quarantined, seized, confiscated, for the purposes of paying the debts of the customers who are Ghanaians. That is the responsibility of government. Government cannot go to...
in all this, I've never heard this line of argument.
Yes. That is the odd... I mean, you have never heard it because government doesn't want... I mean, I get the impression that government doesn't want to create the impression that it has responsibility towards ensuring that the Ghanaians who have put their deposits with MENZGOLD do not suffer, unnecessarily.
So you are saying even the 39 million that he expects, dollars, if it comes, it has to be quarantined?
It has to be taken immediately. That's the responsibility. It has to be taken.
Whichever account it falls, it has to be Ghana shade.
Not Ghana shade. Ghana shade is a legal process.
Okay.
It has to be taken, yes. Yes.
And in the interest of paying the customers?
Yes, the interest of paying the customers and putting them in the position they would have been if, in this case, you can say government is the biggest insurer, putting them in the position they would have been if the MENZGOLD had not gone through these difficulties.
Do you have some citizens of yours, or some constituents of yours, who are customers of MENZGOLD? And have they brought their plight
to? No, I don't have. They have not. They have not been brought to my notice.
But your friends, your friends who are MENZGOLD?
No. I don't know any particular person who has got deposits with MENZGOLD. But I know when DKM was going under, DKM had established an office in Tamale Central, just around the Bank of Ghana premises, where the Bank of Ghana is. And so some members of my constituents, some constituents of mine had deposits there, and they had appealed to me. Okay.
But no MENZGOLD?
No MENZGOLD. No MENZGOLD.
Well, thank you for the conversation this morning. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Which are the constituencies we should look out for in the primaries?
Well, we are looking. First of all, let me go back to what has happened is NDC has opened nominations for the various constituencies for persons who are desirous of leading the parties in the various constituencies. we've not opened it for all the constituencies because of obvious difficulties. But those we have opened, they went through vetting. Those who were desirous of contesting went through vetting. And the vetting committees at the various constituencies, or various regions, because the vetting took place in regions. And so they disqualified some of the members of or aspirants who appear before them on various grounds, let me put it that way. The party then set up an appeals committee, of which I was privileged to serve on, and then we looked at the appeals, and then some of the appeals were against disqualification were upheld, some were rejected, others were put on hold pending further investigations into circumstances leading to those challenges. As it stands now, on Saturday, a majority of the constituencies will hold in their parliamentary primaries to select their parliamentary candidates. This is preparation towards the eventual elections.
So the question I ask, so which constituencies, per your observation, since now you've become a neutral person, should we be looking at?
There are 275 constituencies. Probably what you should do is to
No, I'm talking about you. See, you're not more contesting.
Yes,
so.
well, there are 275 constituencies in Ghana, and I thought that you will limit it to either a region or but
we've seen some individuals. For example, we have Abraham Sebu Komankese, we have Felix Kwachofosu, as well as one Dr. Brown Kluche, and a couple of notable in your constituency. For example, we have a former minister, a former deputy minister, a former member of parliament. Is it for Nabdam?
No,
for Nantong.
Yes.
Nantong, yes. And a number of a host of personalities also contesting. What are some of the picks you will say?
Well, it portends,
or usually based on your experiences.
It portends good for the party. The number of persons who are just interested in being part of the party and part of the process.
Meaning what, the party is still popular?
Is incredible. I mean, and the caliber of people who are putting up themselves for the context is totally unbelievable. And so I'm encouraged that the future of the party is bright. I'm encouraged that those who are coming to take up these positions are those who are willing to contribute both human and material resources into ensuring that we give Nana Akufo-Addo, make him a one-term president. And to be able to do that, we have to bring our efforts together, concerted effort towards the election 2020, and minimize disunity within the party in the various constituencies.
That's a diplomat speaking. He's not contesting anymore. But look, a member of parliament for Tamale Central, Inusa Fuseni, he's also a legal practitioner, says that he wants to go back to his firm after 2020. Doesn't want to have anything to do with a number of all the issues that MPs have to deal with on a daily basis. Especially the mobile money they have to keep sending.
That one, my status as a member of parliament will not absolve me.
From those. No, but only the throughput. The throughput will reduce.
Well, the throughput, probably. The incidence.
The incidence.
The regularity.
Yes, the frequency.
The frequency.
Synonyms, right? Well, thank you very much, Inusa Fuseni. I've enjoyed the conversations, and we'll take your words on the queue, especially regarding successive governments giving credit to past administration for projects, and then also your poignant position on the amendment to
the president not shifting blame, just
and then also the president's own comments on the judiciary, whether taking away a little of their discretionary powers is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. I hope that you've enjoyed the conversation so far.